Okay, for critical values notification, it's very easily done. Just takes a few little steps. From your whiteboard, you can select the patient that you want to document on, and from the virtual chart, go to the Flowcharts tab, the Flowchart menu, and then select the appropriate flowchart that you want to document on. We've put the critical values notification question on all of the main assessment flowcharts. So if you're working in ICU, you can select the ICU care assessment flowchart. If you're working on Med-Surg DOU, you're going to select the DOU and Med-Surg patient flowchart. If you're working in antepartum, the antepartum postpartum flowchart. And if you're working in the nursery and you want to document a critical on a newborn, you're going to use the nursery newborn flowchart. The question is the same and in the same area of each of those flowcharts. So let's say I'm on Med-Surg today, so I'll select the Med-Surg DOU flowchart and open that up. And you'll notice in the vital signs section, and this is the same on each of the assessment flowcharts, under the vital signs section, under the weight question, there's a question that appears that's labeled critical test value. This is where you're going to do your documentation. Just double click on that. It'll open up the question. Now for critical values documentation, there's 3 essential components that you must document. The first one is the test name and its results, so just click on this first response in order to capture that. The second component is the date and time and the physician or provider that you called, so I'm going to select this second response in order to capture those items. And then the third key area that we need to document is the response of the provider to our notification. Here we have 5 other potential results that we can use. Choose the one that's most applicable to your patient's situation. In this case, if we contacted the doctor and he gave us orders, this would be the best one to choose. So I'm going to choose MD notified to see orders. Once I've got those 3 components up in my documentation window, then I can double click on the window to open it up and edit in the specifics. So I'm just going to get rid of the specify there, and after my first colon, I'm going to add in the name of the test. So let's say it was a potassium, and then its test result. And let's say the potassium was 2.1. So that's the first component taken care of. Now I need to edit in the date and time and who I called. And let's say that this was done today, 12/26/12, and that was done at let's say 15:35. So I called the doctor at 15:35, and I've got the second component done now. And then for the third component, we need to know what the result of the provider was to the notification. And here we called him and he gave us orders, so it's referring us to the physician order sheet. So you don't need to repeat the orders here in the documentation window. You're going to go ahead and document those on your physician order sheet as a telephone order. So once you've got the 3 components, the test name and its result, the date and time, and who you contacted. Oh, and we missed that, so go ahead and put in the doctor's name. Make sure you include their first initial and their last name, so that if there's 2 doctors with the same name, we know which one you contacted. So I've put in Dr. Cito Santos, and then the third component is our action. So doctor was notified, and we see the order. Once we have all 3 essential components covered, we could click OK. And if there's nothing else we need to document on the patient, we can just hit update on our window. That will take us back to the main flowchart. Now if you need to look at that again later for some reason, just come to the window where the documentation appears, select on that cell by double clicking on it, and it'll open up the window and it'll show you the details of what was documented. When you're done viewing, just hit the cancel and your item will remain there. That's it. That's the 3 essential components of critical values notification.